Hello, welcome back to Suburban Hunt 365. I'm DJ. We're back in the reloading room again today, and what I've got behind me is Dave's Browning Gold Hunter 12 gauge semi-automatic shotgun. This is actually an outstanding shotgun. Taking it apart takes some time, so because of that we're going to break this video into two parts. The first part we're going to do a field strip to where you can clean it. We're going to disassemble and assemble it. In this video, I'll give you a link up here on top of the video once the second part is available, and you can go straight into getting the trigger assembly disassembled and reassembled, as well as the bolt and the bolt carrier. So if you want to watch this, hang out with us. If you guys are wanting to see the trigger disassembly video, it's going to be in the link just above me. So let's get started with you. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check and make sure that this gun is empty before we start doing any type of maintenance on it or cleaning. So it is empty. So just like most shotguns, magazine cap comes off first. Set that to the side. Forearm slides straight up and out like such. Now at this point, if you haven't already, because we just cleared this, leave this to the rear. If you're not, go ahead and lock this to the rear. That way it's not in the way of the barrel. That way when you're wiggling the barrel out, it'll actually be smooth. So next is the barrel. Rock that back and forth. Barrel comes off. Alright, then you got your piston assembly up top. Just take that right off. You got your slide bar and your slide bar spring. These do come apart, so you can put your finger there and pop that off. So slide bar spring. And then from here, we're going to turn around and we're going to get on the bench. Basically, we want to get started by bringing the bolt home. So you got your release right here, your bolt release. I'm going to hold on to the operating handle, the charging handle, whatever you want to call it. Press the release, let it ride home. Don't let it just slam forward. Treat your stuff nice if you want to keep it the long whole time. Alright, so we're going to flip this over. In order to get this bolt to come out, we have to remove the operating handle here, right? So you got the loading gate here. You're going to push this down, and you see that shiny metal piece down there? That is the cartridge stop right here, my finger's on. Okay, that actually plunges up and down. Okay, you can't really see it in the video, but I promise you that metal piece right there, it plunges up and down. So what you want to do is press it down, and then on the side, this will actually remove it out of the way of the operating handle. So press that cartridge stop down, and then pull this out, comes right out. Alright, so in order to get the bolt to move forward, you again have to push down that cartridge stop from the side here, and then push this bolt forward and out. And then your bolt just comes right on out. Now, you got, this actually is in two pieces here. So you got your bolt and your carrier here. Alright, so they're going to go ahead and set those to the side. I highly recommend to go ahead and grab your punches. And your trigger assembly here has two pins. Okay, one here. One here, and that's it. Punch those two pins out, and the whole trigger assembly slides out from underneath it. Alright, now that both of those are out, literally this thing just pulls right up. The whole thing just pulls right up and out. So there's your trigger assembly in all its glory. And now you can really get down in there and get all that cleaned out and get it all nice and pretty. And that is your, this is when you push that button, that's your bolt release there. That's what actuates that to allows that to drive home. So now in this breakdown today, we're not going to take that out because there's really no need to. But basically all that is there's a pin right here. Just punch that pin through and this whole thing will come out, and there is a spring on the back side underneath here that you'll have to take out, but again, that's not that big of a deal. So punch that pin through to the bottom and it'll come out. It'll actually come out right here. There's the other side of that hole is right inside this right here, but punch that out and then you can take this whole thing out of here and you can really get that clean if that's what you want to do. So at this point you are set up to do a field cleaning. You can get to your trigger, you can get to your bolt, you can get to the carrier, you can get to your barrel. All the stuff that you would normally want to clean just to clean your weapon, you are there. But as promised, we are going to continue forward. Alright, now we're going to move on to removing the buttstock. In order to do this, you're going to need a flathead screwdriver, and you're going to need a 3/4 inch socket. Okay, that's what you're going to need to remove this buttstock. Alright, so when you're looking at the buttstock, these screws are kind of funky, because you would think that they just be straight in as, you know, as the gun shoots, right? No, it's not. It follows the line of the bottom of the buttstock. So when you're it's at an angle out this way and an angle out that way on both of them. So when you come in at them, you want it to be straight like such. But you got these two holes. You'll see those pad holes on these. That's where your screwdrivers go. Get in there, find your flathead, and then just move it off. Alright, once you got those off there, then as you can see, if I can get my light. Alright, as you can see, there is a 3/4 inch bolt here. You're going to go ahead and take that off. There's going to be a spacer, and then this flat piece here. You're going to go ahead, once that bolt is off, just go ahead, or nut rather, once that nut is off, go ahead and remove all three of those. Alright, nut comes out, spacer slides off, and flat bracket piece comes out like such. Alright. Now at this point you can actually just take the buttstock and slide it up and out. There is going to be a metal piece here. This little metal ring is going to slide up and down. It won't come off the edge right there unless you force it. But that basically just sets on the sets here in the buttstock. So in the event that you need to take this spring out of here, there is a pin right there. You can see a little bit better on this front side here. But there is a pin right there. Just drive that pin out, and then being careful to do so, because again, it is a spring and it is under tension. Go ahead and drive that through. And when you drive that pin through, leave your punch in there. That way it's under tension. Okay. Go ahead and leave that punch inside there. Now, put your finger in front of it, pull that out. And then out comes the spring. Let's go ahead and pull that out. Now, a lot of times with the spring, you're going to have this side, which is going to be just messed up with gunk. And then the same with this side. Just get in there and, like you would any spring, just clean that out. Alright guys, now we're going to actually put this shotgun back together. First thing I'm going to do is get the spring out of the way. So this is the buffer spring here. We're going to put this back in. This side goes in first. Okay. Put that back down in there. Shove that bad boy down. And we're going to have to put a pin in, we're going to have to put a pin inside this. So what I like to do with this is I'm actually going to take this to the floor, and I'm going to use a punch as my pin slave and put that in there. Alright, so like I said, I like to come down to the floor part. Okay, so you got to line this groove up right here with the holes. Okay, so get that started down in there. Okay, and put your spring down in there. I'm going to start to show you this best I can. Get that down in there. But right before you get to the point to where you're actually pushing this in there. Okay, so once you get to this point here, right here. Okay, you want to make sure that that pinhole lines up with that groove. That's what's got to go in there. So I'm going to try to show you this the best I can from camera. Alright, so I've got this all the way in there, but my hole isn't lined up quite right. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flathead screwdriver here, and I'm going to put it on top of that cap. Being very careful not to lose it. Okay, switch hands. Get that down in there, and go ahead and put that pin in there. That way it stops it. Alright, now you're in there and you're good. Now when you're dealing with this much smaller pin, this pin ain't but this long, so it's a lot easier to deal. The other thing that I like to do about it is it also gives me a pendulum point to pull and push and actuate that. So basically what I can do is when I need to line up my side over here, I just push down, or I push up, and it pushes that down and lines up my pin on the other side. Now my actual pin's got it. And now that my pin's got it, I take it and I push the screwdriver down, taking the tension off the pin, get the pin lined up eventually. Oh, let's see, there it goes. So get the pin lined up, and then she's in. Well, come on. Come on, big buddy. There it goes. Oh, wasn't that a bunch of fun? Alright, so now you may be tempted to put this trigger assembly back in here right now. Don't do that. Okay, the reason that I like to do this first with the bolt, okay, is because this tang piece here has to go inside that plunger. That plunger we just put in there, that's why we put it in there first. Okay, that goes in there first. Go ahead and slide this down. Okay, so it's got the grooves. You can see the grooves here and on the other side there. Okay, get those grooves in there like such. Now remember, you have that cartridge stop that's kind of sitting there. You see it against the barrel, so you got to put downward force and then push it in. Once you get to about this point, what I want to do, or I want you to do, is in here line that tang up with that plunger. Okay, you need to go inside that plunger. Well, let me see if I can do it on camera. Watch the camera and see what I'm doing here. Nope, just like that. Okay, so it goes inside there, and then let it go in. Well, it just dropped, dang it. Alright, if you find yourself having to do that, carriage stop goes down and then in, but you want to get that inside that plunger right there is what you want. Okay, and now this will actually, it's got that spring tension. Okay, that's what you want. Okay, so keeping that there, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our operating handle in. Okay, so remember, go ahead, you want it to where it's like this, so when you reach up and grab it, you can rack it back, right? Okay, so make sure it's in the right orientation. Now reach in here, push this down, and then that will drop in place. And once this is in place, there we go. So you push this down, drop this in place, and then wiggle this around, you'll feel it catch. Now the biggest thing is to check it. The way you know that that's in the right spot is that this is up away from the actual carrier. Okay, if you can push it down, you're good. Alright, so now the easy part. Okay, now what I do is I actually leave the hammer down. Okay, so this is actually in the orientation of the gun, but hammer is down. Okay, line up this back piece here. It's got this groove on the back. Well, so does this guy, right? So line that groove up like such. Now to finagle it just a little bit. Some of those pins like to stick out a little bit more, so you got to flushing those pins up. And then line up this back piece here, and this thing should fall right into place just like that. Okay, now you just got to put these two pins in, and your trigger assembly is in the right spot. And the way I do that is by putting the back pin in first, kind of finagle the back in. You'll feel it drop. Once it drops, send it in. It's not a whole lot of force, shouldn't need it. Now the front pin, same thing. Finagle the bottom till it pops in, and then finish it up with that. Okay, now that that's in place, everything is good. The way that you can tell you did it right is that it actually locks back and stays back. Okay, if for some reason this wants to sling forward, something's wrong inside there. You need to go back and look at what you did with your trigger assembly. The bolt carrier really doesn't mess with it that much, but if for some reason this is not staying back, go back and look at your trigger assembly and figure out what you put in the wrong spot. Alright, so now that this is all the way back, now I need my springs. Alright, so we're going to take our slider bar spring on first, slide bar itself on second. There we go, make sure it lines up. Gonna go ahead and put our piston assembly on. Alright, now when you're putting the barrel back on, okay, a lot of people want to push this in and get as close as they can. Don't do that, because this slide bar has a flat edge on one side. Okay, you need that space for the barrel. If you push this all the way down, now you got the full width of the piston assembly in the way. You need that flat spot at the top of the spring to make it work. Now press it down and make sure it's where it needs to be, so it's on the spring all the way. But when you go to put that barrel on, make sure that you are all the way up. Alright, so line that up with there. You shouldn't have any problems. It's a little bit tight at first, again, because of that bar right there. But that slides in just like that. Put my leg behind it here for you. And then send that. If you have to, you can pull that bar back, get the tension off of it. But once this barrel hits the receiver, you're good to go. Alright, so now that you have that on, go ahead and take your forearm. Slide your forearm on and over. Grab your cap. And the cap is good. Alright, so now what we can do is we can go ahead and send this home like that, being very careful, but we still don't have a buttstock. So let's put on the buttstock. Alright, being careful not to spill my coffee over there. Alright. So basically what you want to do is you still have this metal piece right here, right? Slide it down. Buttstock. Over to where it's flush. Nice, lines up pretty, right? Alright. Now, I'm going to take the plate. Okay. Now, I'm going to show this. This is where we're going to take. This is the bottom of the buttstock. This is the top. Okay, so your cheek weld's on this side. Okay. This is going to go over, and you can kind of see how there's an open space. There's less space on this side. There's more space on this side. The bigger piece of that metal goes where the bigger space is. Okay. Then your spacer over the top. Then your nut. Thread it on. Grab your 3/4. There you go. You gotta go crazy with cheese, make sure it come off. Alright. Now, almost done, ladies and gentlemen. Almost done. Recoil pad, because every good 12 gauge has a recoil pad. Good lord. Alright, now in the beginning of this video I misspoke, so I have to correct myself here. The screws that are in the back of this this recoil pad are actually Phillips heads. So you can use a Phillips screwdriver to do that. I was using a flathead earlier, that's what I had. But they are Phillips heads and you can use those. Alright, now we're in Lac Flynn. Alright guys, we got her all back together. She works great. I really do appreciate you guys hanging out with us, coming and being a part of what we're doing here at Suburban Hunt 365. If this helped you at all, or you just like watching our videos, do me a favor, do us a favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, help us grow this channel. That's really what we're after. We really got that goal to hit this, hopefully by the end of this year, we'll see. But do us a favor, hit that subscribe, hit that like button. We'll see you next time.